Hello YouTube, Mike Kohanim here. As you may know, my favorite deck in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is Gladiator Beasts. I used the deck to qualify for the World Championship in 2009 and won a Shonen Jump Championship with Gladiator Beasts prior to that. So it's definitely been a pet deck of mine and a favorite that I try to make work in as many formats as possible. Because of that, I'm very excited for the Fusion Festival that starts later this week, because I do think that Gladiator Beast will actually be a top contender in the Fusion Festival. As you may expect, a Gladiator Beast deck in the Fusion Festival will be drastically different than a Gladiator Beast deck that I would try to use in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game or even in the Master Duel format, because modern Gladiator Beast decks are heavily reliant on Test Panther, which is a link monster that not only makes tagging out Gladiator Beasts for different ones easy, but also searches for key Gladiator Beast cards. In the Fusion Festival, since you can only use fusion monsters in the extra deck, you're going to need to take a different approach playing Gladiator Beasts, which I'm going to run through in today's video. I'll show you the deck list that I'm planning to go into the Fusion Festival with, which I will update as I play duels in the event. Since you can build a Fusion Festival deck now, but you cannot yet start dueling, I'm not able to show you any plays with the deck, but I will describe them in detail so that if you build the deck and want to start using it, you'll know exactly the types of plays that the deck is capable of making, and you'll know why certain cards are in that deck. If you enjoyed this video, I would greatly appreciate if you like this video and subscribe to my channel. If there is enough interest, which I will gauge through the likes and the subscriptions from this video, I'll make a follow-up video with gameplay and with changes that I make to the deck as I play in the Fusion Festival event. Without further ado, here is the deck that I am planning to use at the start of the Fusion Festival. I'll put a deck list in the description in case you don't know what any of the cards are and want to copy the deck so that you have a starting point for Gladiator Beasts in the Fusion Festival. Gladiator Beasts in the Fusion Festival are in a really weird place because they have all of the new cards that haven't been used since Gladiator Beasts were competitive, that are powerful but weren't powerful enough to revive Gladiator Beasts as a top tier deck, but they don't have Test Panther, which is the link monster that so many modern Gladiator Beast decks revolve around to make unbreakable fields and amazing combos. If you're looking to build a modern TCG or Master Duel Gladiator Beast deck without the restrictions of the Fusion Festival, I'll put a link to my older video in the description where I talk about the best combos that Gladiator Beast decks have at their disposal. I'll also put a link to the hybrid deck that combines Gladiator Beasts with Tri-Brigade. In the Fusion Festival, you're not going to use the Tri-Brigade monsters because the link monsters are off limits, since you can only use fusion monsters in the extra deck. So you might be asking yourself, what does that leave us with? And the answer is actually quite a bit. So fortunately, the boss monsters of the Gladiator Beast deck are all fusion monsters. So although the deck does lose some of the enablers that allow the Gladiator Beast decks to build massive fields and make incredible combos, the key cards and the main power cards of the Gladiator Beast deck are still available to use in the Fusion Festival. So the modern TCG deck is mostly built as a Tamer Editor spam deck. The deck summons Gladiator Beast Tamer Editor in the TCG or in Master Duel regular format, the advanced format. You would summon Tamer Editor, use its effect to immediately special summon one of the most powerful Gladiator Beasts from your extra deck, generally being either Gyzarus, Domitianus, or Heraklinos, which gives you access to a variety of effects that either destroy cards, negate monster effects, or negate spells or traps. Then the deck would link away Tamer Editor and revive it with either Gladiator Beast Comeback or Monster Reborn or World Legacy Succession, or a similar card to use Tamer Editor's effect and ramp up the number of monsters on your field. Without Link monsters, this is not really a viable strategy. So the Fusion Festival version of this deck is going to be heavily reliant on fusion summons. In building this deck list, I did call upon a lot of the old strategies that Gladiator Beasts have used, with a lot of the new cards that improve those old strategies. Again, without Test Panther, you really have to take a brand new look at the deck to sort of evaluate the best way to play it. Similarly, I do expect that the Fusion Festival Gladiator Beast deck will actually fairly often fusion summon by combining Gladiators on the field to summon the powerful Gladiator Beast monsters, including Gyzarus, Heraklinos, and Domitianus, not necessarily always cheating them onto the field with Tamer Editor. That's going to make it play drastically different than the way you might play this deck in the normal advanced format or in the TCG. I'll go through the combos that I do have in this deck, many of which are the same as in the TCG and in the Master Duel Advanced format, and some of which are very different. One of the key standout cards that I'm only using in the Fusion Festival is Fusion Deployment, which is actually an ultra rare you can get in the latest Cyber Dragon structure deck that was just released in Master Duel for 500 gems. And you can actually get 3 copies if you're willing to spend the 1500 gems on it. I was very excited to see it in there because I was ready to craft it with ultra rare crafting points. That said, I think that Fusion Deployment is actually going to be a star in this particular format in the Fusion Festival because it is so incredible and has virtually no drawback, in this event. Ordinarily, Fusion Deployment would stop you from special summoning any monsters from your extra deck other than fusion monsters during the turn you activate it. But in a format where you can only have fusion monsters in your extra deck, that's not a drawback. And Fusion Deployment is so powerful because it just special summons a monster from your deck that's listed as a fusion material on one of the fusion monsters in your extra deck. It can also special summon the monster from your hand if it's in your hand and not your deck, which gives it even more flexibility. Interestingly enough, Fusion Deployment actually will combo very nicely with Gladiator Rejection, which is a key card for Gladiator Beast decks in Duel Links, and a card that I've also used in the TCG, because Rejection lets you special summon another Gladiator Beast monster to your field after you special summon a Gladiator Beast monster from your deck. So it lets you, if you special summon from your deck, you get another Gladiator Beast from your deck. That makes it real easy to special summon Tamer Editor or Gladiator Beast Gyzarus, which are just a fusion of 2 Gladiator Beast monsters. You use Fusion Deployment with Rejection face up, and you get the 1 monster you special summon from your deck with Fusion Deployment, plus the additional Gladiator Beast monster you get with Rejection. Note that Fusion Deployment stops you from special summoning non-fusion monsters from the extra deck, but it will not stop you from special summoning non-fusion monsters from your main deck. So it will not interfere with any of the other combos you have in store. It also won't stop you from special summoning Test Tiger from your hand. So that's just one of the combos. Gladiator Rejection will also combo with Unexpected Dai and the effect of Rescue Rabbit, because both of these cards will summon Gladiator Beast Andal from your deck. And if it's summoned with Rejection face up on the field, you'll be able to special summon another Gladiator Beast from your deck of a different type than Andal. And if you go for Gladiator Beast Bestiari, you'll immediately be able to summon Gyzarus. Combining Gladiator Rejection with Unexpected Dai and Rescue Rabbit is nothing new. I've done that. I play a similar strategy in Duel Links. I've used this strategy in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, but adding Fusion Deployment to the mix actually just makes it even more powerful. And obviously losing Test Panther is a big loss for the deck, but with every deck in the Fusion Festival having no access to link monsters or other types of monsters in the extra deck other than fusion monsters. The trade-off you get for playing fusion deployment really does make the best of it. You may also recall that in the old days of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, one of the big strengths of the Gladiator Beast deck was being able to return Gladiator Beast spell and trap cards from your graveyard to your hand with Gladiator Beast Equeste. Perhaps none were more powerful than Gladiator Beast War Chariot, because what would happen is, once you successfully use War Chariot, which negates the activation of a monster effect while you control a Gladiator Beast, many times your opponent would be unable to make a follow-up play with another monster effect, and on your next turn you'd be able to attack with a Gladiator, send it back to the deck, special summon a new one, and that new one would be Gladiator Beast Equeste, which can return Gladiator Beast War Chariot from your graveyard to your hand, locking your opponent out of monster effects once more. I do aim to do that again with this deck, with 2 copies of Equeste in the main deck, along with 2 copies of War Chariot. I've never been a big fan of 3 War Chariots, because when you start drawing them in multiples, especially without the Gladiator Beast monster that you're able to keep on the field, you start running into some problems. Because you have some dead draws, and you're not able to stop your opponent's plays. Once you draw 1 Chariot, though, you can keep recycling it by tagging out monsters and special summoning Equeste, and often lock your opponent out of using monster effects, and take the duel from there. Also extremely powerful for this format is the Gladiator Beast United Quick Play spell card, which, it's worth noting, you can return to your hand with the effect of Equeste as well. Gladiator Beast United seems to me like it's going to be very powerful in this format, because it lets you simply fusion summon a Gladiator Beast using the materials from anywhere. Whether they be in your hand, on your field, or in your graveyard, so long as you activate in the battle phase and you only attack with Gladiator Beast's monsters, during the turn you activate your Gladiator Beast United. Again, this really isn't a problem because all of the attackers in the deck are in fact Gladiator Beast monsters, so the drawback on Gladiator Beast United is virtually non-existent, just as the drawback on Fusion Deployment is. Note that Fusion Deployment can actually gain you access to Gladiator Beast Bestiari, which is a fusion material of Gyzarus, Gladiator Beast Laquari, which is a fusion material of Heraklinos, Gladiator Beast Vespasius, which is a fusion material of Domitianus, and Gladiator Beast Augustus, which is a fusion material of Gladiator Beast Andabata. So this one spell card can special summon any 4 of those Gladiator Beasts from your deck without restriction. And Augustus actually has 2,600 attack points, so that makes it really powerful. It being a level 8 monster is also strong, because that makes you 1 monster away from summoning Tamer Editor. I am using the full 3 copies of Test Tiger in this deck, because there is a significant amount of special summoning from the deck in this deck, and Test Tiger will trade in one of your Gladiator Beasts for a different one, so you can easily summon Augustus to help set up fusion summons, especially of Tamer Editor, which can then cheat one of the other Gladiator Beasts from your fusion deck onto the field, or you can swap it for another card that you'd like to use as a fusion material, like perhaps Gladiator Beast Bestiari, which can then summon Gyzarus. I do expect the effect of Gladiator Beast Gyzarus to be powerful in this event. Without cards like Appaloosa that negate monster effects, I think that monster effects that destroy cards on the field won't necessarily be the easiest things to stop, and are worth building a deck around. So this is the build I went with. It's one that very aggressively summons Gladiator Beast Gyzarus. Once it summons Gyzarus, if it successfully tags out Gyzarus, you'll have free range to make Tamer Editor to special Domitianus and pin down your opponent, or Heraklinos and pin down your opponent, or a variety or combination of the 2. I am using 1 copy of Gladiator Beast Sagittarri, because when it's tagged in, it lets you discard a Gladiator Beast card to draw 2 cards. So it's helps you get to the cards you need. I thought that was worth running as a single copy. Darius is in there because when it's tagged in, it special summons Gladiator Beast from the grave, which may help you set up fusion summon plays, especially with Attorix in the deck, which can not only copy the name and level of one of the Gladiator Beasts in your deck or extra deck, so it can become a level 8 monster or a level 7 monster to help summon Fusion Editor. But it's sending it to the graveyard also makes it so that Darius resurrecting that card will help set up fusion summoning plays. Vespasius is actually just a really good card. I don't know exactly how combat oriented this Fusion Festival format will be. If it turns out that my Gladiator Beasts are getting attacked a lot, I might add copies of Vespasius just because it has that sort of trick effect that lets you special summon it from your hand when one of your Gladiator Beasts battles a monster to give all your monsters 500 attack points in the right at the damage step when you summon it, and continuously thereafter while it's on the field. But Augustus is the better card to special summon from your hand with the effect of something like Test Tiger, or rather, better card usually to special summon from the deck with the effect of something like Test Tiger, because its effect will let you special summon another Gladiator Beast from your hand and trigger that monster's effect. Plus, it's a very strong gateway into Tamer Editor, which is still one of the ace cards in this deck. I did cut it down to the deck down to one copy of Gladiator Beast Comeback in the TCG or the Master Duel Advanced format. It's a no-brainer 3-of to run 3-of Comeback that you should run in your deck. Because the deck plays so differently, and you can keep linking away Tamer Editor to resurrect it with Comeback and use its effect again immediately thereafter. Without being able to link away the Tamer Editor and having no reliable way to get it into the graveyard after it's summoned, Comeback is significantly weaker. Plus, without Test Panther in the extra deck, since it's a link monster, the Comeback isn't searchable, which perhaps is an argument to use more than one copy, but I think because it is so much weaker than it otherwise would be, I am using one copy of the deck in the deck. And if you do draw it and use it, it is a card that you can return to your hand with the effect of Equeste. I'm also using one copy of Monster Reborn, which is a bit of a more flexible Gladiator Beast Comeback. It has a wider range of monsters that it can resurrect, especially since it can take them from the opponent's graveyard, even though the monster that it summons can be destroyed in battle, unlike the one summoned by Comeback. And I am not sure quite how back row heavy the Fusion Festival format will be, but in the past, a lot of these festival formats have been back row heavy, so I am trying out one copy of Harpie's Feather Dust as well. I'm using 3 copies of Maxx as well. I think the card is just too good not to run, especially in a format based on Fusion Summoning, which is a special summon, which Maxx will allow you to draw a card for when your opponent does it. But I'm not running Ash Blossom at the moment. I'm afraid that running 3 Maxx and 3 Ash Blossom will clutter the draws. Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is obviously incredibly powerful, even though they don't have synergy with most of the cards in this deck, like Gladiator Beast War Chariot, and you can't link them away for Test Panther because there's no link monsters in the extra deck. But until I see what search cards and draw cards are really being used in the Fusion Festival, I don't want to commit to putting Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring in my deck. So the Fusion summons are pretty much self-explanatory, because Gyzarus needs Bestiari plus 1 Gladiator Beast, Heraklinos needs Laquari plus 2 Gladiator Beasts, Andabata requires Augustus plus 2 Gladiator Beasts, and when it's summoned, you can immediately special summon Gyzarus from your extra deck. Domitianus requires Vespasius and 2 Gladiator Beasts, and Tamer Editor, of course, can be summoned by combining any 2 level 5 or higher Gladiator Beasts. Essedarii is used as a link to get to Tamer Editor. If you have a level 5 or higher plus 2 level 5 or lower Gladiator Beasts, you can combine the 2 level 4 or lower Gladiator Beasts into Essedarii and then fuse Essedarii with the level 5 or higher to make Tamer Editor. At the end of the day, this deck isn't going to make the long string of combos that the Gladiator Beast deck is capable of by using Test Panther. However, with so many decks knocked down a notch in the Fusion Festival, I think that Gladiator Beasts are going to be a top contender for sure, because they are a fusion-based strategy. The number of the cards that they lose is minimal compared to the number of cards that many other decks lose. If you're still confused about any of the combos that the Gladiator Beast deck can make, I do recommend checking out my Gladiator Beast video that I previously posted on YouTube. Even though that deck is a more of a combo deck that uses Test Panther at the heart of it, the Link monster, a lot of the combos are similar, even though this deck without Test Panther can't take them nearly as far. That said, you can still build some pretty awesome fields with this deck. You can use Gladiator Beast Gyzarus to just tear apart any of your opponent's cards that are not immune to destruction, and then simply tagging out will let you put either Heraklinos or Domitianus on the field, often with Tamer Editor, to pin down your opponent and really seal the duel. I also contemplated putting Elemental Hero Prisma in this deck, along with A Hero Lives. A Hero Lives lets you pay half your life points while you control no face-up monsters, and you can then use it to special summon Prisma from your deck, which, although it's not a Gladiator Beast monster, it lets you send a Gladiator Beast monster from your deck to your graveyard that's listed on a fusion material, and then gain its name. And by becoming Gladiator Beast Laquari, Gladiator Beast Bestiari, Gladiator Beast Augustus, or Gladiator Beast Vespasius, it helps to enable the fusion summon of those 4 monsters. I eventually decided against it for a couple of reasons. One, it doesn't synergize with Gladiator Rejection because it's not a Gladiator Beast monster when it's summoned from the deck. And 2, since it doesn't copy the level of the monster it sends to the graveyard, it can't be used to fusion summon Tamer Editor. So there's a couple of things that Elemental Hero Prisma doesn't really synergize with, which is why I left it out, although the appeal of having additional spell cards that can summon a fusion material from the deck certainly was enticing. And being able to send a high-level Gladiator Beast to the graveyard, where you can resurrect it with Darius, or a card like Gladiator Beast Comeback or Monster Reborn to help set up a fusion summon of a monster like Tamer Editor, was appealing as well. Many years ago in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, one of the huge combos that Gladiator Beast decks used was combining Elemental Hero Prisma with Test Tiger by using Prisma's effect to send Bestiari to the graveyard, and then gain the name of Bestiari, then special summoning Test Tiger, sending it to the graveyard to return the Prisma, whose name is Bestiari, back to the deck, special summoning Darius, and using Darius's effect to special summon Bestiari from the graveyard. With Darius and Bestiari on the field, you'll be able to fusion summon Gyzarus, destroy 2 cards, attack, and then tag out for 2 new Gladiator Beasts. In the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, in the advanced format on Master Duel, this combo is certainly outdated, because destroying cards is not as powerful as it was back in the day. But for the Fusion Festival, it might actually be fairly powerful, especially since you can use A Hero Lives to special summon Prisma and basically make this combo without even using a normal summon. Again, as I mentioned before, I think Gyzarus destroying cards is certainly going to be more powerful in the Fusion Festival than it would have otherwise been in a regular advanced format of Yu-Gi-Oh! So this is a combo that I've certainly been considering. I cracked the packs for the E-Hero set to get copies of A Hero Lives. I only got 2 copies, but I'd be willing to craft a third if I do choose to play this combo. But for starting out, I'm going to not use this combo, and I will see where that takes me, and I will see just how powerful Gyzarus is and reconsider as I duel in the Fusion Festival. Again, if you like this video, I would really appreciate if you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. If I see that there's a lot of interest, I will make a follow-up video about the changes I made to the deck and some of the replays to show the moves that it can make. Finally, all of the festivals are really just for fun. They're a great opportunity to get gems, get rewards, but at the end of the day, they're not particularly competitive because you're rewarded simply for playing. You get medals, which then become gems, whether you win or you lose. Obviously, the faster you win, the quicker you'll get those gems, but at the end of the day, if you're playing a lot, you'll get all of the rewards. So it's important to pick a deck you like. So if you like Gladiator Beast as much as me, I think they're a great choice for this tournament. I think they're going to be one of the more competitive decks that are able to rack up quick wins. So I strongly recommend them, but I certainly suggest that you pick a deck you like and stick with it through the Fusion Festival.